BTS is back, feel the attack.
Thank you, Army, for every bit of support, love, and attention you always give. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, because this story is not just an ordinary moment, it's a brief second that made many people hold their breath and start questioning everything. At first, nothing felt unusual. The atmosphere flowed naturally, light laughter, small movements, and a routine we thought we already knew by heart. But somehow, at a certain point, that atmosphere suddenly shifted. The camera captured something so brief, almost unnoticeable, yet strong enough to make many armies feel a tension that's hard to explain. Why did the mood suddenly fall silent? Why did that moment feel like it carried a hidden meaning? Then came the moment fans keep replaying over and over again. Jimin seemed to pause for a second, and Jungkook did the same. Not because of instructions, not because of a mistake, but as if the pause was intentional. A fleeting glance, a change in body language, and expressions that raised far more questions than answers. Were they aware the camera was recording? Or did they forget everything else for 1 second that felt a little too real? What made this moment even more intense was what followed. No explanation, no clarification. Everything simply continued as if nothing had happened. But was it really nothing? Why does a moment this small feel stronger than so many bigger interactions? And why do so many armies feel that those few seconds held a story left untold? As the clip continues to circulate, more details begin to surface. Details that were overlooked at first glance. Some fans notice the way Jungkook's shoulders subtly tense before he relaxes again. Others point out how Jimin's expression shifts just for a fraction of a second, softening and then carefully returning to normal. Are these just instincts caught on camera, or reactions shaped by something deeper, something we are not meant to fully see? What makes this moment even more compelling is its timing. Why did it happen right then, not before, not after? In a situation filled with movement and noise, that brief stillness stands out like a quiet heartbeat in the middle of chaos. Was it a shared awareness, a silent check-in, or simply two people reacting to the same feeling at the exact same time? Armies have begun asking questions that refuse to fade. If it meant nothing, why does it linger so strongly? Why do so many people feel drawn back to those few seconds, replaying them again and again, searching for answers hidden between frames? Perhaps it's because moments like this are raw and unscripted, unpolished glimpses that feel closer to the truth than any grand gesture ever could. There is also the silence that followed, and silence, as many know, can be louder than words. No comments, no laughter breaking the tension immediately, no exaggerated reactions to distract from what just happened. Was that silence accidental, or was it a mutual decision to move on without exposing too much? And if so, what was being protected? As theories continue to grow, one thing becomes clear. This wasn't just about what we saw, but about what we felt. The tension, the warmth, the uncertainty, all of it collided in a single pause that somehow connected thousands of people watching from afar. Isn't it fascinating how such a small moment can spark such powerful emotions? Maybe the truth behind that pause will never be confirmed. Maybe it doesn't need to be. Because sometimes, the mystery itself is what keeps a moment alive. And perhaps that's why this Jikook moment refuses to fade, because it lives not only on the screen, but in the questions it leaves behind. What do you see when you watch it again? And more importantly, what do you feel? As the conversation deepens, fans begin to notice something else, something quieter, yet strangely powerful. It's not just the pause itself, but the energy surrounding it. The way the space between Jimin and Jungkook seems to tighten for a heartbeat, as if the world briefly narrowed to just the two of them. How does a moment so small manage to feel so heavy? And why does it linger long after the clip ends? Some armies describe a sense of familiarity in that pause, as if it reflects countless unseen moments shared off camera. Not dramatic, not performative, just real. Could it be that what made this moment unforgettable was precisely its ordinariness? No grand gesture, no obvious display, just a silent connection that didn't need words. Or is that exactly why it feels so revealing? Others begin to question the aftermath more closely. Jungkook's slight shift in posture, Jimin's controlled calm, almost too careful. Were they grounding themselves, resetting, or simply moving forward because that's what professionals do, even when emotions quietly surface? The more people analyze it, the more interpretations emerge, each one layered with emotion, curiosity, and longing for clarity. And yet, clarity never truly arrives. Instead, the mystery grows. Why didn't either of them acknowledge it later? Why was there no playful comment, no laugh to dissolve the tension? In a dynamic often filled with warmth and humor, this restraint feels intentional. But intentional for what reason? To protect the moment, or to protect themselves? As days pass, the clip takes on a life of its own. It's slowed down, zoomed in, replayed endlessly, not just to analyze expressions, but to relive the feeling it sparked. Fans don't just watch it, they experience it. That brief stillness becomes a mirror, reflecting whatever emotion the viewer brings with them. Hope, nostalgia, comfort, or even uncertainty. Is that the true power of this moment? That it allows everyone to see something different, yet feel something similar? There's also the question of timing within their journey. At a stage where growth, change, and reflection are unavoidable, could that pause represent something transitional? A silent acknowledgement of the past, the present, or what lies ahead? Or is it simply a reminder that even idols, so often seen as untouchable, have moments where they stop, breathe, and feel, just like everyone else? Perhaps what captivates ARMY the most is the lack of resolution. There is no clear answer, no official explanation, no single truth to settle on. And strangely enough, that uncertainty feels right. Because some moments are not meant to be explained, they're meant to be felt, remembered, and quietly carried. In the end, this Jikook moment isn't defined by what happened, but by what it awakened. Questions without answers, emotions without labels, a pause that spoke louder than words ever could. And maybe that's why it remains unforgettable, because it exists in the space between what we see and what we sense. So when you watch it again, ask yourself, are you searching for the truth behind the pause, or are you holding on to the feeling it left behind? As the story continues to unfold in the minds of ARMY, another layer quietly emerges, the realization that moments like this don't demand confirmation to be meaningful. In a world where everything is analyzed, explained, and labeled within seconds, this pause resists definition. It stays suspended, untouched by certainty. And maybe that is exactly why it feels so powerful. Why does something unspoken feel louder than 1,000 words spoken out loud? Many fans begin to connect this moment to others from the past. Small glances, subtle gestures, shared silences that once passed unnoticed. Were those moments leading here? Or is this pause simply the first time everyone truly stopped to look? Sometimes, it takes one quiet second to make people realize how many silent seconds came before it. And once seen, they can never be unseen. There is also a growing sense of vulnerability tied to this moment. Not vulnerability in weakness, but in honesty. When the cameras are rolling and expectations are high, pauses are risky. They reveal cracks in the performance, glimpses of humanity that can't be rehearsed. Did Jimin and Jungkook realize, even for a split second, that they were standing at that edge, between persona and reality? What makes it even more intense is the contrast. Seconds later, everything resumes. Smiles return, movements continue, the world goes on. Yet that brief interruption lingers like an echo. It's as if time itself hesitated, unsure whether to move forward or stay still. And isn't that how the most meaningful moments often feel? They don't announce themselves. They don't demand attention. They simply exist, and then refuse to leave your heart. As discussions grow, emotions among ARMY begin to divide and intertwine. Some feel comforted, seeing a connection that feels grounding and familiar. Others feel unsettled, sensing a depth they can't fully understand. But both reactions come from the same place, a shared emotional pull that defies logic. How can one moment create so many different feelings, yet unite people in the same curiosity? Perhaps the answer lies not in Jimin or Jungkook alone, but in what they represent together. Years of shared history, growth, challenges, laughter, and silence. When two people walk that long side by side, they develop a language beyond words. A look, a pause, a breath. Could that moment have been a sentence spoken in that private language, accidentally overheard by millions? And then there's the question ARMY keeps circling back to. If the camera hadn't been there, would this moment have mattered any less? Or would it have remained just as significant, only known to the two of them? Sometimes, the most meaningful experiences aren't meant for an audience. Yet fate places a lens in the right place at the right time, turning something personal into something shared. As time goes on, the clip doesn't fade, it deepens. What once felt confusing now feels familiar. What once felt tense now feels warm. Or maybe it's the other way around. Emotions shift, interpretations evolve, but the moment stays. Quiet, unresolved, alive. In the end, maybe this isn't a story about answers at all. Maybe it's about permission, the permission to pause, to feel, to not explain everything. A reminder that even in the brightest spotlight, there are seconds that belong only to the heart. So ARMY, when you replay that moment once more, don't rush to understand it. Sit with it. Feel the stillness. Listen to the silence. Because sometimes, the most unforgettable stories are the ones that never say a word.